in this lesson, we are going to take care of adding replies. So the first thing we want to do is go to our replies controller and to the store method and implement the functionality for saving a reply. But first, we need to create a reply model and migration. So we're going to say add make model reply with the migration, so that in the create replies migration, we are going to determine what fields we need. First, we need to be able to know what user is replying, so we're going to save the user ID. Secondly, we need to be able to know what discussion this is, so we're going to save the discussion ID. Next, we need to be able to save the reply, which is the actual reply, so we're going to say content right here. And I think that's all we need for a reply. Okay, so the next step is to go to the reply model and make sure it extends our base model and not the model from Laravel, because remember, our model turns off mass assignment exception. Awesome. So now we are going to determine or define some relationships. Public function user or owner, we can call this owner, and then we're going to say return this belongs to user class, and since the primary key or the foreign key is user ID, we're going to precise that here. And then we're also going to say public function discussion, and we're going to return this belongs to discussion class, and we don't need to specify the key right there. Awesome. So we have owner and then we have discussion. Then we're going to go to our replies controller and we are going to create a custom request for adding a reply. So we're going to say add make request add reply request, or we can just call this create reply request. Awesome. So if we go to the create reply request, then we can return true, and here we're going to say rules is the content must be provided. So now when we go to our replies controller, we can simply say auth user, and then we can say replies and then create, and then we'll pass in the discussion ID. Okay, so now we first of all have to inject the custom reply, so reply request. So create reply request right here, and then since we're using wild model binding, we can type hint discussion right here to get the discussion that we are trying to reply to, so that here we can do discussion ID, and then we can also pass the content, which is request content, and this is supposed to be discussion ID. Okay, so now that we've saved the reply for that user, we can flash to the session also. And no, we haven't displayed the flash message yet, but we're going to do that in a second. So session flash success, and this is going to be saying reply added, and then we'll return redirect back so that the user can view the reply. Okay, so now that we have this, all we need to do is define the replies relationship in the user model. So user, and we're just going to duplicate this and replies, because a user has many replies, right? So we're going to have reply class right there. When we submit a post request to create a reply, it's going to save a reply for that user and save the content and discussion ID to the database. Let's go ahead and try to submit this. If we visit all discussions, and right now we don't even have a link for all discussions, I think we should go to the welcome.blade.php, which is our home page, and then right here, if the user is authenticated, we're just going to use URL discussions, okay, so that we are redirected to the discussions page instead. So if we come back now to the home, we can see discussions. It takes us to the list of all discussions. And then I'm also going to do the same thing. Right here, we're going to have forum or let's just call this discussions, and then this is going to say Laravel forum, and then this we're gonna route to our discussions route. So we're gonna say route discussions.index, and in this way, if I come back to my app, we can visit discussions directly so that we're always on this page. Awesome. So if we click on add discussion, we can see the discussion right there. But what I want to do is click on view discussion to view the discussion, and then you can see the reply. So I'm just going to copy this text, paste it right here, make part of it bold, and then click on add reply. And you can see that we redirected back to this page, but we really don't know if the reply was created, right? It could be for some validation rule. So we're just going to come to this database, and it looks like we haven't even run the migrations yet for the replies table. So what we want to do is add migrate. Okay, and why did it not give us a migration error? I think that's because the validation rules actually failed. Let's just check out the request. So the create reply request content is required, and then if we check out show.blade.php, right here we have idea of reply. So the validation rule actually failed, right? So what we want to do is change this to content. Okay, and then the name should be content, and the inputs right here should be content, and I think that's good to go. So if I refresh, copy this dummy content, paste it right here, make some of it bold and italics, click on add reply. We're redirected back to this page. Let's check out our database to see if any of that was successful. Check out the replies table. You can see right there we have our reply. So we have the reply for that user, and we have the reply for that discussion. So now what we're going to do is display a list of replies. First, we need to go to the discussion model and define a relationship to get all replies for a specific document, for a specific discussion. So we're going to say public function replies, and then we're going to return this has many reply class, so that when we come to our show.blade.php, we can loop through all of the replies and display them. Okay, so here we can do a for each. So right before we have the card for adding a reply, we can have a for each discussion replies as reply and for each. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to have a card.my5, and in this card we're going to have a card header, and here I'm just going to have a div.deflex.justify content between, and it's pretty much going to be like the header with the avatar. So here I'm going to have a div, I'm going to have an image, and the source is going to be gravatar src. This is going to be reply user email, because we want to get the user who replied, right? So imagine or remember, in the reply we have the owner model, so it's supposed to be owner, right? So the reply owner email, so we're going to say reply owner email. Okay, and then we want to also display the reply owner's name, so we're just going to say a span right there, and this is going to be reply owner name. Awesome. So if we go right now to our browser and refresh, great, so you can see right there we have a reply. But we want to style this a little, so maybe give this a width of 40 pixels, a height of 40 pixels, and also make sure that we give it a border radius of 50%. Okay, so if I refresh, great, so we have that right there. So this is replies for this discussion. But for the body of the reply, which is right here, I'm just gonna have a card body, and I'm just gonna print out the reply content. So reply content. And if I refresh, great. So you can see the reply content right there. So here's the discussion, and then here's the list of all replies for that discussion, and then we have the form for adding a reply. So that's cool. But what happens when there's 1,000 replies? Are we going to display all the replies right here? That's probably not what we want. So what we want to do is paginate the replies, right? So we're going to come here and we can paginate it using this. So replies, so discussion replies, then we can call the paginate method and paginate 3. And if we refresh, we have exactly the same results, but we're only going to see 3 results right there. And how do we display the pagination links? We can come right down here. And then after this, we can simply call paginate 3 and then call links. Okay. And if we refresh again, obviously we have no results because there is no more than 3 replies. But let's try this. We're going to create some replies. So I'll post that. We have 2. Post that again. We have 3. And then I'll post another one. And great, you can see we have pagination automatically. But then we put the pagination in a loop. So that's why we have this right here. What we want to do is have the pagination out of the end for each loop right there. Okay. So if we check this out, refresh. Awesome. So we have pagination just down here. So we have page 2 to see the second page of all replies. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to catch you up in the very next lesson where we're going to start adding some really spicy functionality to our forum.